Welcome to the first SmashCenter presented by myself, Suar. This is the first of many tournament recaps, results, going overs, and of course we have controversy and more. My name is once more Suar from PGstats, and if you haven't checked in before, PGstats is the creator of the PGR Top 50. Now, we did do it for Smash Brothers Wii U, and we also do it for the Melee PGR. But we're going to be jumping into the Ultimate PGR quite soon. So bear in mind that everything that we're going to be talking about is during the preseason. So all these results are going to be somewhat of a prelude to what's to come for our first major, which is Genesis 6. Now, for those of you who don't know, we're going to be going over a couple of tournaments and keeping things speedy right along. I want to say once more thank you for tuning in if you are on Twitch or on YouTube if you find this later. We're going to be going over certain aspects of results this past weekend that include 4 tournaments, which you'll see in a moment. But for the most part, sit back and relax and let's get right into it. So, starting us off, we have a couple of events that we haven't seen in a long time. And that's because we haven't seen much of Japan since Smash 4's ended. Now, we go to our first tournament, Umebura SP2, where we saw Zachary actually take it from Shutone. Now, both players are rated highly on the PGR 100, which came out recently, and both players have had much success when it comes to Japanese results. However, when we're talking about Umebura SP2, this event saw 500 entrants in Tokyo, Japan. We saw no Abadango or Komurakiri in top 8 or top 16, which serves to remind us that this game is still fresh and new. Many of the players that were in the event, again, mostly Japanese, we did not have any North American attendance, not yet at least, fell to the hands of people like Zachary and Shutone. Now, when we're looking at these results, we have to bear in mind that much of the Japanese rule set does not reflect the upcoming Genesis 6 rule set, so some of these results might seem a little bit less than what we'd expect. Now, there was much character diversity within the top 16, and we saw an array of characters that we haven't necessarily seen before in a top 16 for a Japanese tournament. However, as we saw Zachary and Shutone duke it out in grand finals, we saw a lot of play that was again making use of many of the new mechanics from the game. Smash Ultimate of course features now a new parry mechanic which many players are taking advantage of and pushing to the limit if they're to succeed against their opponents. Zachary showed that pound after pound as he took out Shutone with a clean 2-0 in grand finals. But to the surprise of many, it was the first time that a Wolf took a tournament of this size. With much of this being during the preseason, it still remains to be seen how this is going to play out for Genesis 6, where this is going to be Zachary's first North American attendance. Now, if you haven't tuned in before, this is the SmashCenter, Smash Ultimate Results Recap and more. My name is Suar, and we just went over Umebura SP2. I do want to remind everybody that while we might be going over these results at a time where we haven't necessarily seen the PGR in full effect, bear in mind that all these players are trying their best to best their foes. Now, when we're looking at the next tournament, we're going to look at a very special one because it involves a player that we haven't seen for a very long time. The person I'm talking about is of course Trella with TCG Returns, featuring some of best of the Texas Smash Force, with certain players in attendance like Mega Fox and more. We did have a grand finals featuring a Ridley and a Yoshi, which again, with Trella sporting the new Ridley, we have seen new tech and some tech that we are again seeing development of. Meme gave up a good fight, but in the end Trella took the gold. This event featured many competitors as it topped at 300, and again, for Houston, Texas, these are great numbers. We saw Trella coming back to the scene, and when we're thinking of previously in Smash 4, where Trella started strong, again, competing and working at the highest levels possible, he took a break eventually to focus on his mentality. Coming back into the game, we see that now he's sporting impressive results even though, again, we're in the preseason. Many people are excited to see how he does as the season starts up, but for many, it's just great to see Trella playing once again. If we look at it, it looks like, again, Trella is sporting the Ridley, moving away from Ryu or even Ken, who is the new Echo Fighter for Ryu. Even though he played Ryu in the last Smash iteration, this time he's opting to go for a more offensive zoner / heavy mix. We are seeing that Ridley is having a little bit of trouble figuring out the meta for itself, as players are trying to play him like a heavy, but also trying to mix him up a little bit. He has properties of both, but many players are finding success as they learn different matchups and as people learn how to play against Ridley. Once again, congratulations to Trella as he took the event. For many people, this is something that, again, it's nice to see, since Trella is somebody who many people in the community admired. And so having him back into the scene and competing at this level is something that many people are now very glad for. So, we've recapped Umebura SP2, Japanese event, and we've recapped now TCG Returns. We're keeping this speedy because, again, we're trying to see how far we can get while still keeping everything going. And when we're looking at the next tournament, we're going to jump now to Dair. Now, let me say that when we're looking at these results, we still have to keep in mind that this is the preseason, and I'll reiterate that many times because for many people, that is just what it takes. And as we make more announcements and as we answer more questions as the PGR season ramps up, starting with Genesis 6, we're going to see many players still test how far they can get in this new game. Now, we're looking at people who are trying new characters, trying new tactics, but above all, trying to understand how this game works when we don't have the same mechanics that we had in Smash 4. We have many similar ones, but with the mention of, again, the parry mechanic, many matchups are changing and many people are looking at the game differently. But moving right along, let's keep it going. Third, we have Dair. Now, Dair was a Georgia event that took place in Cooler, Georgia. Hyper Kirby took the gold over 174 people, sporting a nice Roy, as we see here. And Salt1 placed second with Cloud. Now, both of these players, again from the Southeast region, very impressive results for a regional, but at the same time, we're going to see how these results pan out as players start to figure out more and more characters and more counterplay. For the first month, I think it's fair to say that Cloud is still very solid. Many players are reporting that he still has many of the same tools he had in Smash 4, albeit they're a little bit more toned down. We're looking at very much the same hitboxes, reduced a little bit in scope. We're not looking at that oppressive Nair anymore, but at the same time, people still find the familiar movement and appeal of the soldier to be somewhat of a draw. We're going to see here that Hyper Kirby and Salt1 make a very explosive grand finals, and for Dair, it was a great ending for everybody. We're going to move into our final tournament, however. Congratulations to Hyper Kirby for taking it over everybody at the event. What I want to look at, though, is the fact that we're looking at now Hawaii. Poundaz 2 is an event that many hold near and dear, as it is one of the events that Hawaii premieres with every single year. Poundaz 2 is a sequel to the Poundaz that happened last year. This year, however, we got the likes of Fallin coming into the fray. Now, Fallin is a very famous 5-time PGR player. He did make the top 100, so congratulations to him. And he came in for a little invasion to sort of mix things up a bit. We see him in a grand finals here against Dren, and we saw that he took the tournament, took the gold home over 111 people. Honolulu saw not a Rosalina this time, but instead a Robin, and we saw Fallin not only take the gold home, but also some matchup experience along the way. This intel, which he will be using for Genesis 6, where he will be debuting as 5-time / 6-time PGR Fallin. Both of these players showed a very impressive bout in Grand Finals, and both of these players showed that at this level we're seeing characters that we're not used to for Grand Finals. Even though we've seen Yoshi and Robin on stream before, again and again, as we saw in Umebura SP2 and these other tournaments mentioned, we're getting top 16s and we're getting top 8s that aren't filled with those Sheik, Diddy Kong, and ZSSs that we're used to seeing. So, that about wraps it up for this first episode of SmashCenter. We're keeping it short and we're keeping it light. I want everybody to know that we appreciate you tuning in, and we're testing things out a little bit. If you enjoyed the show, please drop a message, either feedback on Twitter through @PGstats or @PGsuar if you want to reach out to me. We're going to be adding more content to these recaps and making sure that we make the most out of the content coming out each weekend. With the weeks leading up to Genesis 6, there are going to be a few events that we're going to bring light to, but we also want to shed more light to what's going on in the community and have people be in tune with that. There was some controversy that happened over the weekend, 2 weekends ago, in Florida with Smash Conference United, which some people have heard. We're not going to get into that too much right now, but understand that those topics and more are things we're going to be looking at. Hopefully you enjoyed these 4 quick recaps highlighting players from around the world that seized the gold this past weekend. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. We're going to keep that content going each Monday, same time, same place. If you tuned in and you missed a little bit of the recap, my name is Suar, and you can always find me at PG_Suar. If you enjoyed it and more, see you next week, and thanks again. We'll see you next time.